Superman Red and Superman Blue, what's this business? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to do a little bit of a history lesson on the character of Superman, one aspect of the character of Superman anyways. And I bought these items that you see before us right now on the store shelves in the latter 1990s. They're from 1999 and 1998, and they're from Hasbro, although these two little guys are branded Kenner as well. And I have the stands that came with them, as well as some of the verbiage and display on the packaging that they came in. But at the end of this episode, I'm going to show you a picture of each one of these in the package so you get the full effect. Now for this guy, look what I've got. I've got an ancient artifact, sort of. And I really shouldn't have it, because I guess I didn't really keep it, but my brother recently brought it to me because it was somewhere in the old house where I used to live back there in mid-Michigan. And so what I did at the time, there was a whole set of these JLA figures on the store shelves in 1999, and I bought a bunch of them, okay? I've got lots more of these to show you. I've got like a Green Arrow, a Green Lantern, I've got the regular Superman, I got a couple Batmans, I got a whole bunch of stuff I'll show you in future episodes. But I kept the box for this one. I have no idea why. I have no idea if I kept the other boxes and maybe they just got thrown away over the years or whatever. But my brother knew that, of course, I do this collectible series, so I thought, well, maybe she'll want that. And so he brought it over recently, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to dig out that figure and do an episode. And I decided to throw in these smaller guys too, which I also have a bunch of. These two smaller guys were part of a larger set back then as well, and I've got even more of those with all of this stuff too, so future episodes. Anyways, let's take a look at the box that Superman Blue came in. By the way, they did not make a Superman Red in this set, the 8-inch set, the Mego-like set, we'll call it, or else I definitely would have gotten Superman Red, red being my favorite color. But we'll take a look at this. You can see the image on the side of the box, on both sides. And then we've got similar top and bottom treatment for the box. Fully posable with articulated fingers even. And inside, I don't know if you can see, but I've got like all the stuff that tied them together inside. The twisty ties and all of that. I just left it all in there. Oh gosh, so many years later. So on the back, little bit of explanation for Superman Blue. And again, we'll get into the history a little bit. As a result of the Earth's sun being extinguished and subsequently reignited, Superman's solar-based powers underwent a strange metamorphosis. No longer the familiar Man of Steel, Superman was transformed into a being of pure energy, with the power of the entire electromagnetic spectrum at his command and the ability to move as fast as light itself. Superman Blue continued to symbolize heroism and bravery at its purest. So essentially what happened is Superman was split into two characters, Superman Blue and Superman Red. And I remember this happening. I didn't follow it a whole lot in the comics back then, but I remember it happening. I was kind of aware of it. I just wasn't reading the actual titles. But when I went to research Superman Blue and Superman Red for this episode, I was surprised to learn that it was older. It went back further in the comics than I realized. By the way, I really need to call out. I need to call out this as a brief aside. KB Toys. You remember those at the mall? That was like one of the greatest stores. So you can see what this retailed for at KB Toys at the mall, $14.99. Okay, so Superman Red and Blue first appeared in the comics in 1963. Can you believe it? So in the original storyline then, Superman was split into these two after he created a machine to increase his intelligence. So he splits into these two, maybe inadvertently or however it happens. Then these two go out and they solve all of the world's problems. Then they, believe it or not, marry Lois and Lana. Superman Red marries Lois. Superman Blue marries Lana. And then later, a few years later in the comics, they reappeared briefly, and that was in 1981. But this storyline that Hasbro produced the toys for in 1998 in the comics, the cyborg Superman was working with the villain Toyman to build a trap that then split Superman in two. And this was after Superman was deprived of solar energy. You know, he gets his power from the Earth's sun, and he was deprived of that, and he developed other energy-based abilities and was doing other things. You have to Google it for a much better understanding that I'm giving you right now, you know, if you're interested in seeing the whole storyline. But he was split into these two beings by the work of Cyborg, Superman, and Toyman. And both of these guys were vying for Lois's affection. Lana was not in the picture, and Lois just got tired of it, and she booted them out. And then eventually Superman Blue and Superman Red were reunited again. So that's Superman Blue and Superman Red. And there are some differences between them. So for these smaller guys, on the packaging, you had this little explanation, and I'll just tell you that it says for Superman Blue, as one half of Clark Kent's alter ego, Superman Blue is slow to anger, more patient, courteous, and serious in nature than Superman Red. They are alike in power and think in the same strategic way, yet are different in attitude, so they tend to get in each other's way. Now for Superman Red, it says he's more aggressive, wild, and rebellious in nature than Superman Blue. So there is a difference between them, and as the colors would seem to indicate, one more aggressive, one more peaceful. So that is interesting. So you have this explanation of Superman as a character, a rundown of his real name, occupation, base of operations, and powers. And then on the packaging, which again, I'm going to show you at the end of the episode, these in the package. But on the back of the card that they came on were these images, these comic book images, which don't show the characters so much. This one I marked back in the day was on Superman Red, and then this one was on Superman Blue. So I kept that stuff. Didn't keep the card or anything, but kept that stuff. And then what we have going on here with these stands, like for instance, let's take the one for Superman Blue. And what you would do is you would slide it on here, and then the figure has holes in the bottom for, there's a peg, so you can put either foot into the peg. Okay, and then he can stand up like that. So you can display him. I don't know if I display these. I might have displayed like the larger set when I originally got it. Let's take a closer look at these guys, at the detail. He's got kind of a pink face, nice. Red, true like apple red hair to match his persona, his suit. And then that's what he looks like on the back. Again, with holes on the bottom of his feet for posability. Not a whole lot of articulation. His legs will swivel like that. His arms will move. His head does not move. So not a ton of articulation. And here's the stands. And again, I labeled these because I have so many of these. Seriously, it's going to be a great episode when I show more of these. And I loved them at the time. Okay, so we'll set him up in his stand as well. We can get that in there. There we go. All right, so we got Superman Red, Superman Blue with the smaller Hasbro figures. Now let's look at the 8-incher, which I remember at the time thinking, okay, these are like Megos. And they, again, they had a whole big set of them. And that's why I just ate them up. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like Mego has come back. And that was years and years before Mego did indeed come back as a company and produce more figures, which in recent times we are enjoying. But these were like so Mego-like. They are a tad bigger. And you can't really tell here. I probably should have grabbed Amigo to compare it with. But they are a tad bigger. He's stockier, bulkier, I want to say, than the Amigos. But look at the great articulation and the fabric costuming. He can move his head. And there's a little bit of a close-up on his face. Very strong, valiant face for this peaceful half of Superman. And on the back, you've got the S symbol repeated. And then for his legs and feet, you can see he's like a blue mold. Articulated ankles. And he's just got his suit on over it. Now, as far as those articulated fingers, yeah, you could say that because they're doing this stuff. You can grip something. You can put something in his hand. His hand actually swivels too. So he's got a lot going on as far as posability. He's kind of stiff up here, to tell you the truth. That's what struck me as with these figures back in the day, is that this top part, their shoulders, a little bit stiff, a little more difficult to pose. But just really very cool because so Mego-like, almost like a tribute to Mego. Now, I will note that there was, if you didn't catch it, an animated series on the Cartoon Network a few years ago in 2016 that featured Superman Red and Superman Blue in an episode, which was kind of unusual. They are a little bit more obscure characters, but other than that, they haven't really been in other forms of media besides the comics. So, yeah, just something different. I love something different like this. So, thank you for watching once again on Terrific Non-TV Toys. I'm going to show you these images of these guys in the package and all of that. You can find these on eBay and probably even on Amazon. You definitely can find them online. There are other versions of the smaller figures, I noticed when I did some research. There are slightly different, maybe about the same size, but slightly different mold and different branding for these guys, and I want to say they're more recent than these guys, which were released in 1998 with the Hasbro/Kenner branding. All right, thank you once again. These photos are from eBay. These are not my photos. And stay tuned to BRBTV for more terrific non-TV toys.